Welcome back to the Spiritual Download. My name is Kyle Hilding, so welcome. Today I want to be talking about speaking your truth by me just kind of going out there and speaking my truth. So I'm going to try to be as genuine as possible. I want to share with you guys as from my heart, because I feel that the best way to know where someone's coming from is when they get into this vulnerable space and speaking from their heart. The main thing that I wanted to say is the purpose of this channel and what I'm doing on this channel. Really what it comes down to is me wanting to express myself. That's the point of this channel. And sometimes it might come across as like, oh, I'm wanting to like teach some of the things that I'm talking about. But really what's going on is like I'm kind of discovering what's true for me as I live my life, because I love to go out and explore life and think about life in its deepest way. So I do kind of like very intensive ways of studying things like philosophy or meditating or going on adventures and things like this to really figure out what is it in life that is so intriguing and what's true. Really, I want to know what's the deepest reality out there. And from my experience, there are teachers out there who are more advanced than I am. They have more experience in things like wisdom and spiritual awakening. So with that said, I would say for those students who are more advanced, for people out there who listen to this channel who are more advanced, really I won't be able to help you actually, as well as other teachers that can get you from, an advanced stage to an even more advanced stage. And really, I'm along the ride with you. I'm there with, I want to be a coworker or a friend with you on that journey of kind of getting out. Once you do get out of the matrix of culture, culture is like this belief system, or it's a matrix of belief systems that like you're truly taught that you think is real. But what's important is once you get outside of that, how do you know what's true? Because you're no longer like relying on your mind or your former belief system to tell you what's true. It's much more like you feel it out with your intuition, or your heart tells you, and things like this. So learning how to listen to your heart and listen to your intuition is something that is extremely difficult, but extremely important. And learning how to do that is important. So I've found a few teachers that are obviously more advanced than me, way more, decades more advanced than I am. Show me the ropes, because it's not just the idea of, it's easy to say follow your heart. It's easy to say follow your intuition. But how do you actually do that? How do you actually implement that? And a lot of it is, from my experience, the way that we have lived our life so far in this lifetime has brought us to where we are now. And that includes your brain, your mind, and your body. Your brain, your mind, your body. And also like your spiritual body as well, your spiritual anatomy. And it might be set up, it might be structured in a certain way because of your upbringing and because of your genetics and things like this. So that's true with me. So what I've been finding is that there's certain things like in my body or how my body is structured that has created stuckness in areas where energy is not flowing properly. However, through like yoga, meditation, and just the process of letting go, I'm learning how that is for me. So one thing I do want to say is the reason that I can't teach you these things once you get to a certain level is because at that point it's just your path, and that you need to figure that out. And maybe maybe there's a teacher out there for you. And that's what happened to me, is I had previous teachers, and then I outgrew them. Maybe after a year or two of studying them, and then I found someone else. So like my teachers just kept getting more and more advanced, to the point where now what I know is true is simply what my teacher points me towards in myself. So it's actually just the reality, and I am that reality. So learning how I fit into this one reality is my journey, is just my journey. And so for me, like, how do you teach that? I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to teach how you awaken to yourself, because I'm still learning for me to awaken to myself. So that's what's really, really tough about this. So, and I really wanted to be honest about this, because it might come across on this channel like, oh, Kyle knows everything and Kyle can express these deep ideas. Well, I'm just talking about them from the mind mostly. So please note that on this channel, it's much more cerebral. So the things I say are simply the ideas of the reality, the ideas of the reality. I can't show you the reality in and of itself yet. I'm not at that stage. Maybe in the future, I don't know. That's the plan. That's the plan. But I'm definitely not ready. It might take 10 more years for me to be in this reality, and to be in this reality with others, for them to be their true selves in this oneness, this one reality. Now, in the meantime, so how do I continue to use spiritual download then? Well, like I said, it's to express my path. So I wanted to continue talking about ideas. So first of all, it's the mind and ideas about it with a capital I, the reality, the ultimate truth of what it is and what we are. Ultimately it's not an idea, right? Ultimately it's just reality itself and us tuning into reality. But talking about it is also important. Talking about these things is also important, because we still have belief systems in our mind. We still have stuckness in our body. And there needs to be like these maps that are talked about that are more accurate about this than the maps that are out there right now. So what's an example? An example would be materialist science, or materialist philosophy, basically scientism, the belief that everything is basically just matter, and that balls are bouncing off of each other, and that's the kind of dumb universe that we're living in. Really, the idea that like the universe is not alive. This is an idea that many people believe in our society, or a belief would be like the Bible is literally real and that and true, and that everything outside the Bible is not true, which is actually dependent on your opinion of the Bible, your particular interpretation of it. And that's the same thing with science. So materialism is one perspective of science. Now, I think there can be some better ideas out there, some better maps, better tools that we can use to enter into, to help us enter into this space of truth and reality. Because it's not just about, like in science, going out there and creating another model of it. It's actually the purpose. There's a big bald eagle out there. The purpose, like this, is just to experience, like, oh wow, the bald eagle. It's so beautiful. Going out there and experiencing what is real. So like, as you're observing yourself and nature and your life, what is happening, what really is happening. And that's for us to discover, for in ourselves, as ourselves. It's not like about creating another model, ultimately. However, relatively, we do need to create more accurate models to help people get out of certain traps. So if you're stuck in models that are not as good as others, right, we're going to get into mental and emotional traps. We're going to get into these traps. So being able to find the best models and also learning from the most accurate teachers, or like the most developed teachers, can help us get us pointed in the right direction faster. So you can awaken faster, you can enter into wisdom faster, and you don't have to make the same mistakes that people in the past have made. The idea of evolution or progress is that we're progressing, and really spiritual awakening is going to become more normal. It's going to become easier than in the past. And it's going to be more of like everybody's waking up, right? It's not just like, that one guy on YouTube had a few awakenings. It's like, oh, that's incredible. No, it's like everybody is waking up. And I want to be in that community with people of like, everyone's mutually waking up in themselves. So it's like, oh, awakening is happening. How are you experiencing awakening? From your own consciousness, your own heart, your own intuition. The other thing I wanted to say would be, how do you know that a teacher is advanced? So basing it off of a belief, right? Like not even non-duality is a belief system. So like if we find our teachers in non-duality, and they're espousing the ideas of non-duality, but we're not inside of the foundation of ourselves. We're not yet living from the truth of ourselves to know whether these ideas are simply ideas or are they actually the truth. We don't know whether a teacher is the most advanced or not until we can claim for ourselves and sit in our own heart and say that, yeah, I am worthy of God. I am made of God. My awareness, my heart is made of God. And knowing, like, just knowing it, and harnessing your intuition as well, and kind of scientifically observing, like, what is my intuition? What is my heart? What is my consciousness? And then when you encounter a very advanced teacher, then you just know. Not as an idea. Like, how do you know? We've talked about this before, but like, how do you know 1 + 1 = 2? Well, so far that's just an idea, right? You can investigate it more and see if that's true with the mind. But I'm talking about like just knowing. Like, if someone asks me like, why do you follow your teacher? Like, Kyle, why do you follow your teacher? I'll be like, really, I don't know. With my mind. Really, it would be easier if I had a different teacher for my life. It would be easier if I had a different meditation practice or a different teacher. But, you know, I'm with the teacher that I'm with because of it's just real for me. It's just real for me. And I don't have to like question it in my mind. I don't have to be like, is this the real thing? Is this the right teacher for me? Is this the right meditation path? My mind plays these games. Yes, my mind plays this game all the time. But it's actually the idea of like going behind the mind, or like below the mind, really, and ask like, okay, well, just kind of sit with it in silence and in your heart and be like, well, what is real? And you can just ask it the question, and then the reality just kind of is. And then you can kind of just sit in that reality and live from that reality of, you know, your strong intuition, your heart, etc., and just kind of freely live from that. I'm not saying I'm perfect at that, not at all. I'm saying like that's theoretically how it works. But you needing to feel into yourself for that, me needing to feel into myself for that. So like in conclusion, I'm going to try and figure out what this channel actually is about, really, I'm just gonna deal with it week by week, day by day, and put out a couple of videos. I don't feel like doing Tuesday talks anymore, so I won't be going live. Probably just when I feel like I want to express myself in a certain way, I'll express myself. If I want to do a lecture on some new idea or a new meditator or teacher in the past, I'll do some sort of research and do a lecture and stuff like that. But really, my goal is to integrate for myself. Do things like just more yoga and more meditation, more feeling into myself, what's real, what do I need in my life. Because a lot of times, like for me, if I think spiritual download, oftentimes it's my arrogance or my ego that gets in the way. Okay, so oftentimes, if you watch previous videos, I'm not going to delete my channel because like all the videos in the past were true in that time. It's just what the truth was I was living a lot from my mind and from my arrogance. You know, a lot of what I was saying, there's actually a lot of truth in the videos, but you have to look behind the veil, or you have to look behind the arrogance and behind the, really I was scared to step into my body and into my heart. So I was most comfortable using my mind to communicate. So that's what I used. I was much less comfortable like speaking from my heart, for example, or speaking from silence. And that's what I'm practicing right now. So I'm not ready to do that. Like I said, it might take 3 years, 10 years, but I'm gonna continue expressing myself however that looks. So yes. So I don't want you to have an idea about me. Please, please, please. I don't want to have an idea about you. I want you to be you, and I want me to be me. When there's a judgment or an idea, that leads to it just leads to falseness. It just leads to your opinion of it, and that your opinion of it or my opinion of it is just an opinion. It's not what's real for the consciousness and our own consciousness / truth. So I hope that makes sense. I also just want to show a little bit more of like other sides of myself. When I get into my mind and talk about philosophy, I get really serious. But really, like, life doesn't have to be that serious. So just kind of chilling and relaxing and like going for walks and things like that. That's ultimately what I love to do the most. I also love to talk too, but I don't want that to be the only way for me to express myself. So yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. You can stay tuned for future videos. Basically, I think I'll probably put out a video once a month, just to stay tuned. So no need to unsubscribe or anything if you're interested as to see my path. So really, what is this channel? Like I said, I'm not going to delete any of the previous videos. Why? Because that's the truth. It's documentation of like my path, documentation of my life. And my life is not, like people's lives are not only interesting to themselves, it's also like someone's life is life itself. Like you can learn by reading someone's biography, you can learn about life. So like watching my videos, right, it's not just about Kyle, it's actually about life. So you can see going from like Kyle in his first couple of videos from immaturity to maybe in 3 to 5 years in the future to a more mature way of being, a more mature way of interacting with people in reality. And that's what I hope. So I want to see it as like, this is my life work. This is basically my life being documented on the spiritual download. And again, the way I speak might come across as like teaching ideas and things like this, but really what I want and what I want in the future is simply expression, simply being. So that's it. Stay true, stay real, stay peaceful. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.